All right, so we'll start with your full name.
Okay. Milton
Uh-huh.
Sightman.
Sritman.
S-E-R.
S-E-R. A-E-R.
E-I. Sightman.
E-I-T-M-A-N.
Gotcha. When were you born?
11/28/22,
And where were you born?
Brooklyn.
Did you have any brothers or sisters?
Yes,
How many brothers and sisters?
one brother,
What was his name?
Murray.
Murray? Was he older? Was he younger?
He was 4 years younger.
Where did you grow up? You were born in Brooklyn, but where did you grow up?
Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. What did your father do for work?
What did my father do for work? It's a good question.
He
He did everything he possibly could to
did-
make
he
a
did-
living.
He did whatever he could find.
Did your mother work at all when you were growing up?
All
Yes.
When
I'm sorry?
so you were born in 1922, so you were about 10 or 11 years old when the Great Depression really starts to hit, especially Brooklyn. What was it like at the time to grow up as a kid during around that time?
Let's put it this way. I was roller skating
Mm-hmm.
and I tripped. And I looked down, and what I tripped on was a little pocketbook, a little purse.
Mm-hmm.
And inside that purse was 25 cents. That was a whole big amount of money at that time. And I gave it to my mother.
When you went to school, did you walk to school?
Yes,
So, were you very close with your neighbors at the time? Did you have like a little group of friends?
yeah.
So you would walk to school together, and then you would come home, and then what was your favorite game to play when you were a kid?
What game?
Yeah, what games did you play after school?
Stickball.
Stickball? When did your father ever serve in World War One?
No.
No. So you were in 1922. You were 19 years old when Pearl Harbor gets attacked. Do you remember
Right.
where you were when you heard about it?
Yes.
Where were you?
Where was I? I was watching a football game. No, I wasn't watching a football game.
No, it was on a
no-
Sunday. It was on
There
a
was
Sunday.
no
yeah.
television.
Listen,
Well, were you finished with high school after you did you complete high school all
Yes.
the way through? So you were finished with school whenever this happened. Where were you? Were you working at all?
Yes.
Where did you work after high school?
I went to work in New York.
No, but what was your job? Did you work in the yard? Did you work in the shipyards? Did you work for the post
No,
office?
no. I worked for an accounting office.
Okay. And did you want to go enlist into the military right after Pearl Harbor, or did you want to wait to be drafted?
I wanted to enlist because if I enlisted, they would send me to school for 6 months. So for 6 months, I would have an additional 6 months at home.
Oh, okay. So when did you enlist into the Army?
A year after.
A year after, so 1942.
Hmm.
That. What did your parents think about you signing up for the military?
I don't know what they thought, but I had to do what I had to do.
his mother was very unhappy.
When why did you choose the Army? You had all of them. You had Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force. Why did you choose the Army?
Why did I choose the Army? I guess,
What about your brother? Did your brother go in?
yes,
So where did he go? Did he go in the Army or the Marine Corps?
Coast Guard.
Oh. Why didn't you want to follow your brother?
No, his brother.
I mean,
My brother was younger.
So now your mom's both sons are both in the military.
Right.
And so when you first joined the Army, where did you get sent to boot camp at?
Boot camp?
Yeah, where did you go to boot camp at?
That was Joplin, Missouri.
Okay. So this was your first time really leaving home. This is your first time leaving New York, leaving someplace where it's not as cold. And so you go to, this is your first time actually being in uniform and somebody's yelling at you. What was it, do you remember what the feelings were like to be in the Army for the first time now that you're away from home?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't earth-shattering.
When you finished with boot camp, where did you go next after you went to boot camp? What was your advanced training at?
I don't think I went anyplace. I don't know.
So what was your specific job in the Army?
Switchboard operator.
Switchboard operator. Did you, is that what you wanted to do, or is that where they just told you to go?
No, I wanted to do radar. But the only radar school was in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And when I applied for it, they said, very fine, we'll put you down, but we don't have any openings at this point. So I said, I'll wait. I'm still waiting.
What interested you about radar? What was it so fascinating that
Well, I did a lot of electrical work and engineering, electrical engineering. And I was interested in that.
Yeah, because radar was still new.
Radar.
Yeah, it was new to the Army at the time, and they were still trying to test it and understand it, and so that would have been
Nobody knew anything.
no, and so you would have been one of the pioneers to understand and help to shape it. So yeah, I can now I understand. So you go and you try to go to radar school. They say it's all filled. You wait, and they say, well, while you're waiting, we're going to put you in signal.
The Signal Corps.
Did you learn anything in the Signal Corps that you probably wouldn't have learned anywhere else?
That wasn't.
Did you learn anything in the Signal Corps in their training that you wouldn't have learned anywhere else? Anything special?
Anything special?
Yeah.
Not really.
No? So you finished your training for Signal Corps, and so when did you finally go overseas?
When?
Yes.
See, I don't remember.
It was around November 44?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a year after the war was started.
Okay, yeah. So it was
When was Pearl Harbor?
1941.
41. So
Yes.
this was 42.
Okay. And so after you go overseas, this is your first time actually being overseas with your unit. And so you end up going to England, and then did you ever go over into France?
Yes.
What was it like now to see a different country? I mean, because now this is your first time really leaving the United States.
Well, the hedgerows.
Those are, because they don't have those in the States, where you have the big berm of dirt and then you have the massive trees, and so you can't see literally
You can't see anything. You had clickers. You know what a clicker
Yeah,
is?
yeah, they
Okay.
give you the signal, yeah.
Okay. That's the way you gave a signal that it was a friendly.
When you went over into France and your unit was over there, how far away from the front lines were you? You were a long ways away. Do you remember were you attached to the First Army? Were you attached to Third Army? Which unit were you attached to? Was it Patton's Army? Was it Third Army? Or was it...
No, Patton wasn't in yet. He wasn't ready yet.
Okay,
He was still going up to Cherbourg.
okay.
The heck was I doing?
What was your job every day? Was it the switchboard operator? You just...
Switchboard operator.
Every day you woke up, you walked over to your workstation, and you sat there and because people don't realize today, you just pick up a phone and go. Whereas back then, you had to connect certain lines.
You had to connect with the switchboard operator. If you picked up a phone,
Yep.
I picked up to answer you.
Hmm. Did you get to talk to anybody, any famous generals or anybody? Said,
Yeah,
hey,
Patton.
Really? He called you.
Huh?
He said, "Hey, this is General Patton. I need to talk to."
No,
No.
no. You don't want to hear that story.
No, I'd like to hear those. I like to hear those stories. That's why I was asking questions.
Let me see. I don't remember it anymore.
He told that story 100
100 times
but his memory is...
is getting a little shaky.
He said he wanted to talk to his mother. He was calling his mother.
No, that was Truman. Truman used to call his mother every morning.
Really?
Yeah.
When Truman was over there, he would call you and you say, "Hey, this is." Did he
No,
say-
I knew who it was.
Didn't you say Patton once picked up the phone? You picked up the phone, he didn't say who he was? You always told me, but I don't remember.
Patton never said who he was.
He didn't say who he was, but you found out later that was him.
I knew it was him because I had to book him. I had to book his call.
When how long did you stay in France for? Or how long did you stay in Europe for? Did you stay till the end of the war?
3 years.
3 years.
Not according to this.
Can I see this, please?
Not according to that.
Hmm?
According to that, you were there only 1 year.
Oh no,
I know.
1 year, 9 months.
that was
Yeah, you left in March of '44 and you came back in January of '46. When so you left in March of '44. I mean, you were there before they did the D-Day assault, when they finally went to Normandy. Do you remember hearing about that at all afterwards? Did you hear about whether it was successful?
31 days later, he...
say
When
again.
you went to the beach, when did you go to...
Which
when you were in
beach did you go
Normandy?
to whenever you
Normandy,
Normandy.
Which one?
Which beach? So was it Utah? Was it Omaha?
Omaha.
Omaha Beach? Do you remember what it was like to see Omaha Beach at the time? I mean, it was almost a month later, but it still did it have...
Sure, I remember. You had to keep your rifle up over your head, otherwise it would get wet. And came in on a British ship, and the British would not run it up, so you had to, they let you off in the water and walk. So you had to walk with your rifle over your head.
Oh. When, so you stayed until, I mean, well after the war. I mean, the war ended in Europe in May of '45. And then it ended in Japan in August of '45. What did you do afterwards? You were still doing the switchboard afterwards. So when you finally were able to come home, and now
Yeah.
this is your first time, now you got to take the big boat home. you come back. You come back to Brooklyn, or do you come back to Virginia? Where did you come back to port to?
Where they come back?
Jersey.
New Jersey,
Jersey.
right?
Did you want to stay in the Army afterwards? Or you just
No
wanna get
way.
out?
I had enough. 3 years was more than enough.
Every veteran has. Well, most veterans were able to have the GI Bill to go back to school. Did you ever use that?
Yes, but I was going to school before I went into service,
Okay.
and I paid tuition.
Would you-
Tuition, is that what they called it?
Matriculation.
Matriculation.
Which school did you
City.
go to? Which school did you go to?
City.
Baruch.
Baru?
City College. It wasn't called Baruch in those days. It was City College of New York. And it was $3.75 a semester to matriculate. That's what I paid to go.
That's
to
what you
college.
paid. I paid a quarter.
What was your
he
What was
was a
your
veteran.
specialty in? What was your degree in? What was your specialty in?
CPA. It was an accountant.
CPA.
CPA. So when you finished with school, where did you go afterwards? Where did you go find work?
To a, what do you call it? Huh?
An agency.
An agency.
He got
An employment
he got a
agency.
job.
Oh, so
He got a job immediately.
you were able to get a job right afterwards as a CPA.
No, as an accountant.
Not as an accountant.
Okay. So where was the what was the place that you were working at? What was it called? Was it through the city or was it through the state?
In
or
the
was it
city.
Through the city? How long did you work there for?
Who was your first job with?
With Lewis.
That was your very first job? Oh, you were there for a while after we were married.
Yeah, I was there for a long
So you
time.
were there for a long time.
Yeah, did the fur
'Cause
market.
You got it. When did you get that job? 47? You worked for them at least until 51, 52,
When did you retire from working?
the year before the flood. Everything was just before the. I'm not kidding. He sold his practice
I sold my practice.
When did you sell it?
in the middle 90s, but he kept small accounts. He sold the major accounts
I was,
in the middle 90s.
my specialty was cooperatives and, and condominiums.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's a highly specialized
In those
thing.
days, it was very specialized.
I mean, not everybody could do it. Not everybody knew what to do.
But
And,
he kept small accounts.
and I
the
kept
tax
some
practice,
small accounts
and
also.
the tax practice until
And then
I
I
guess
gave it all over to this
2010.
young
until
fellow.
Maybe 2010. It was,
When
2010.
when you look back at your time during the war, what does it mean to you today? Your service in the Army. What does it mean to you when you look back almost 70 years later?
I did it.
What do you think? What would you say would be your most memorable experience
What?
during the good or bad? Your most memorable experience during your time in the Army.
I guess landing in Normandy.
What was so special about that?
Because it was Normandy Beach. And the guys were killed there like crazy.
That's what he talks about mostly. So it most probably is his most memorable experience.
When you look at World War II, what do you think World War II means to America today?
Nothing. They don't know what you're talking about.
There's a big gap between today's generation and your generation in terms of understanding the war. And so we try our best at the museum to try to educate the young generation by interviewing veterans and telling them about the war. Do you think it's important that we continue to do that, or should we
Yes.
just leave it?
Extremely important.
Yes.
So you have, so your whole life you grew up in Brooklyn, and you go to school like a good American, and then the war comes in 41, and then right afterwards you do your duty and you enlist. You don't wait for them to draft you. You go in yourself, and you ask for a job. You do what they tell you to do. They send you to signal school. I'll do it. And you go overseas. You don't say a word. You go overseas. You do your duty. You come home. You say thank you very much, and then you go back to school. You get your you get certified in accounting,
Gets
and then
a
you go
degree.
work until you retire. You have your own practice, and then you finally sell off what you can, saying, "Let me enjoy my good years." And so now we're looking at almost 70 years of just your history. And so if somebody's watching this, let's say 5 years from now, and what would you tell them that got you through all of this? How would you tell them that you were? How would you tell them that you were successful in achieving all of this? What got you through all of this?
I don't really know. I felt successful. I felt that I was doing something right, and that's it. I didn't care about anybody else.
What was the key to your success?
Hmm?
What was the secret to your success?
I have no idea.
The reason why I ask is because some people say it's religion, some people say it's love, some people say it's business, and they believe they have a certain belief in their mind. It was from their parents or their